If you're over 50 and think it may be too late to start investing, I'd like to show you why that is not true at all. Fasten your seatbelts, folks. This is going to be a good one. When it comes to investing, you will probably hear the old saying that the best time to start investing is, well, yesterday, while the second best time is today. That is 100% true, as the longer investing runway you have, the easier it is to build up that retirement nest egg. However, what is also true is that the second best time to start is right now. Even if you've already passed that 50-year mile marker, you may not have as long of a runway as, well, as some of those younger investors, but you do have a runway, and we can work with that for sure. Whether you're starting fresh or looking to boost what you already saved, you can still make smart investment decisions that fit your lifestyle and future goals. We are going to take you through those first steps and try to give you a clear roadmap towards that retirement nest egg. Of course, a map is not very useful if you don't know where you are. So let's remedy that and start by understanding where you are right now in your life. If you're over 50, you have probably built up some assets, like a savings account, maybe a home, or maybe you already have a pension. The key at this stage is to assess what you have and what you need. Maybe you're starting from scratch, or maybe you're just trying to optimize what you already have. The first step is, of course, understanding your current financial picture. Take stock of your savings, investments, and, of course, any debts. Having a clear picture will help you set realistic goals and reduce the anxiety that comes with financial uncertainty. Remember, it's not about comparing yourself to others. It's about setting yourself up to the future you want to have in retirement. Being older, the approach to investing shifts a little compared to your younger years. In your investing plan, we need to balance growth with stability, as our goal is to grow your money, but at the same time, we also want to protect it. This is not the time for taking wild risks. It's about thoughtful moves that help preserve what you've worked so hard to build while still allowing for growth. Speaking of safety, a sub to the channel is the safest way to invest in future content. Before we jump into the investments, there are still things we need to talk about. Firstly, there is a little something called an emergency fund. This is a readily available source of cash that you can use when life turns left instead of right. Sometimes you need money to live on when those bad days come along. Maybe you lost your job, or oh boy, your house perhaps caught on fire. That actually happened to my mother a few years ago. Thankfully, she was fine, and she had fire insurance. Nonetheless, she had to use some of her emergency fund for a few days before the insurance company came through. An emergency fund should have enough money in it to support you for up to 2 months, bare minimum. Though a lot of people feel much more comfortable with 6 months. The other thing that I did want to mention is debt. Being older may be a plus in this area, as maybe you have had the time to pay off a lot of your debt. Maybe you are close to being finished on your mortgage. This would be definitely fantastic. Unfortunately, there will be some of you in not great shape when it comes to debt. Earlier, I was talking about taking stock of your assets and debt. This is something we call a financial inventory. For now, let's worry about that debt section of that inventory. I like to order debt by the interest rate on that debt. So at the top of my list, I will list out my higher debt sources, which almost always is going to be credit cards, and then work my way down to my lower debt sources, which may of course include your mortgage. This really gives you a great indication of how you should be tackling your debt. Some folks like the snowball method that is popularized by Dave Ramsey. In this method, you basically pay off the lowest debt first, followed by the next lowest one, and so on. The thought is watching the smaller debts disappear gives you motivation to keep going on. Personally, I like to hit debts from the highest interest ones and work my way down to low interest, as this mathematically is the fastest way to do it. You can do either, or you could even have a hybrid of the two methods. Just be sure with either method that you don't forget to pay your minimums. Also, if any card is overdrawn and has charges because of that, pay the overdraft off first. No matter the method you are using, those charges are going to absolutely eat up your money big time. Another thing to take into consideration is if you have a lot of high interest credit card debt, you may be better served paying that off before you begin investing. Or maybe you can look into ways to consolidate your debt into a lower rate option. Getting those rates down will really help your cash flow when it comes to building up your retirement nest egg. Before we can look at buying an investment, we need a broker, which is basically a place to buy, sell, and of course hold the assets that we purchase. Most banks will have brokers like iTrade at Scotiabank, TD Direct Investing, RBC Direct Investing, or National Bank Direct Brokerage. There are also independent brokers like Wealthsimple, Moomoo, or Questrade. The decision as to which one you choose may very well come down to your investing style. If you want to make lots of little buys, then you may be looking for a commission-free broker like Wealthsimple or National Bank Direct Brokerage. Maybe fractional investing is important to you. This is where you can buy parts of a stock, so if you only have enough money for half a share of your favorite stock, no problem. Both Wealthsimple and TD Direct Investing offer this feature. Wealthsimple does tend to be the more popular choice, as it is commission-free and also has fractional shares. As such, I will provide a link below to try out Wealthsimple. If you want to give it a whirl, they will give you $25 for trying. Full disclosure, they also give $25 to the channel, so it is a great way to support the channel at the same time. Once you have a broker, you are going to see that there are different types of accounts that you can buy stocks and ETFs in. There will be a cash or personal account, a tax-free savings account or TFSA, and a registered retirement savings account or RRSP. It is really important to know what these accounts are and how they should be used. The first one, the cash or personal account. This is a non-registered account. This means anything you buy in this account will get taxed on dividends as well as capital gains. Dividends are a small payment some stocks give to their shareholders as a portion of their profits. Capital gains, now this is how growth gets taxed. So in a non-registered account, 50% of your growth in a stock when you sell, well, that does get taxed. This is your capital gains tax. Next, we have the TFSA. And this is hands down the most important of the three, as anything you put in this account is tax-free, which includes those capital gains and, of course, the dividends. With this much power, there's, of course, a limit. This is known as the contribution room. So if you have never used your TFSA and you are over 50, you will have $102,000 of contribution room as of January 1st, 2025. Of course, this video is coming out a month before that, so currently that would be $95,000 in contribution space. Every year, the government does give you a little bit more space to work with. That's why it's a little bit higher once we get to January 1st. The RRSP is a tax deferral account. What I mean by that is when you deposit money into the RRSP, it deducts that amount from your income. Thus, you pay less taxes that year. However, later in retirement, when you pull the money out, it is added to your income. The general idea is that you are in a lower tax bracket in retirement than you were working. Thus, you save taxes overall. This one also has a limit, which is based on how much you have made. In a nutshell, each year you gain room equal to 18% of your income, up to whatever they've set as that maximum yearly amount. Any unused room is then carried forward. You can get a general idea of how much room you have on the CRA website. However, it never hurts to track this yourself, as the CRA is often pretty late when it comes to updating their data. It is important to know which of these accounts to start in. Typically, your TFSA is going to be your number one destination for your investments, followed by your RRSP, and last is that cash or personal, the non-registered accounts, because where you gain nothing from putting things there and you get fully taxed, that's kind of your last resort. Now, there are some exceptions to this order of operations, if we want to call it that. First, if your employer offers RRSP matching, you want to take it. So if they match up to $2,500 a year, you want to be contributing that $2,500 into your RRSP, as they do the same, and that'll give you $5,000. That's quite the return. Another exception is if you are investing in a high dividend US stock, you may want to put that into your RRSP as well. And this is because the tax treaty between Canada and the US recognizes that RRSP as a registered account. And thus, the IRS leaves those dividends alone. Any other account, and the US tax man is in there taking their 15% in the form of a withholding tax. What a journey. But guess what? Now we can finally talk about your investments and what options are available for you. We're going to mostly look at stocks and exchange traded funds, or ETFs. Depending on your broker, you may also have the option to hold some fixed income options like bonds or perhaps GICs. A stock is an investment in a specific company like Royal Bank or TELUS, or in some cases it can be in a company like Canute EIT or Brookfield Asset Management, where that company invests in other companies. Those ones are almost like ETFs. An ETF, or exchange traded fund, is a product that invests in a whole basket of companies so that when you invest in that ETF, you get exposure to all of them. This is a great way to get diversification into your account. That, of course, is all fine and dandy, but how do you start? As a new investor, I think the number one rule to begin with is to keep it simple. You don't need 100 different investments. A few well-chosen assets can do wonders, especially if they are ETFs. My next rule is to simply start with what you are comfortable with. Fundamental analysis, which is all about studying a stock's financials, is not easy at first. And that means you may be picking stocks based on liking the name, or maybe a YouTuber talking about that stock. While you are in that learning phase, it does not hurt to choose a safer option like blue chip ETFs. Then, while your money is growing in those ETFs, you can learn more about stocks and get a better feel for fundamentals before you even think about adding individual stocks. It is also perfectly fine to stay in ETFs as well, or find a balance of both. I will add, it is smart to avoid the temptation to chase high risk, high reward opportunities, especially when you are still learning the ropes. Slow and steady wins the race at this stage for sure. Let's continue that learning journey. Check out this video on RRSP meltdowns. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.